What if I told you that corruption is no longer just about stealing public money? A new idea has quietly entered the definition, one that changes how we understand power, responsibility, and failure. Hello and welcome to New Zealasia's Explainer series, where we break down political, economic, social, and psychological concepts to help readers understand the core of the stories they come across. In this episode, let's talk about why corruption is not just about money. When you hear the word corruption, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Probably bribes, envelopes stuffed with cash, a government officer asking for something under the table. That is one kind of corruption. But there is much more to it. Corruption isn't only about stealing public money. For a long time, people believed corruption simply meant bribes, kickbacks, or stolen funds. But political scientists and legal scholars now argue that this definition is far too narrow. Today, they include something else as well in this idea: dereliction of duty. That means when a public official fails to act during a crisis or chooses to stay silent while people are harmed, that too can be corruption. There may be no money exchange, no secret deal, but there's a betrayal of duty, a misuse of power through inaction. Some legal systems have already recognized this. For example, in the United Kingdom, the offense called misconduct in public office includes a serious failure to act when duty demands it. A public servant who deliberately does nothing in the face of danger can be charged for that inaction alone. In academic work, economist and legal scholar Susan Rose-Ackerman has long argued that corruption is not just about bribes. She includes biased regulation, manipulation of state institutions, and actions that favor private or political interest over public duty. Other scholars like Bo Rothstein expand the idea even further. He defines corruption as a breakdown in impartiality, including cases where laws are enforced selectively or where officials protect one group and ignore another. In his view, even legal actions can be corrupt if they violate fairness in governance. So today, many researchers and legal experts agree that corruption can include deliberate inaction, selective enforcement, and the misuse of state power in ways that harm the public. No bribe is needed, the betrayal itself is enough. Imagine this: the violence breaks out in a neighborhood. It's organized, shops are looted, homes are set on fire, and people are attacked. What does the state do? Sometimes nothing. The police don't show up or they arrive late and simply watch. In some cases, they even help the attackers. That too is corruption. The first duty of the state is to protect life and property. When that duty collapses, when the promise to safeguard citizens is broken, it is a failure as serious as any financial scam. This has happened before. In Delhi in 1984 anti-Sikh riots, and again in 2020 Delhi riots. In Gujarat in 2002, in Nelli, Assam in 1983 massacre, and in many towns and districts across the country. Each time, the excuses sound the same. There weren't enough police, the situation was tense, and inquiry is ongoing. What no one says is that the state allowed it, officers stood by, leaders stayed silent. This is corruption too. Corruption means using public power for private or political gain. Sometimes that gain comes from making one community angry and another afraid. And if a few people lose their homes or even their lives, it is treated as collateral damage. Think of a doctor who refuses to treat a patient because of who they are and the patient dies. Is that just negligence or something more serious? Now replace the doctor with the state. Should a government decide who deserves protection based on identity? That too is corruption. This form of corruption destroys trust, it weakens democracy, it changes what it means to be a citizen. When people learn that their safety depends on their religion, caste, language, gender, or even on how quiet they stay, trust disappears. They stop believing that the police are neutral. They stop expecting justice. Yes, it is important to investigate scams and follow the money, but it is equally important to talk about the other kind of corruption, the kind that protects the violent and punishes the honest, the kind that allows violence to spread not because the state is weak, but because the state makes a choice. You can feel this corruption everywhere, in burned shops left untouched, in an FIR that was never filed, in a witness who quietly backs away, in the silence after the mob has left. When power walks away from the very people it is meant to serve, that is corruption in its most brutal form. Just like we say a file is corrupted when it stops working the way it should, the word corruption in public life means something very similar. Institutions and officials stop acting with duty, fairness, and impartiality.